Howdy folks, I'm feeling a little bit nostalgic today, and with Black Ops 6 dropping very soon, it got me wondering, can you beat Black Ops 1 without shooting anyone? Now how do you do that in a first-person action game that's all about the military being really cool and using all these different weapons? It's actually really easy to explain, so let's get to the rules. Rule number 1, you can't shoot anyone at all. You can't even do damage to them with bullets in any way. So no legging them and then you run up and finish them with the knife. Rule number 2 is teamwork. Surprisingly, your teammates are very competent, so you need to work as a group and let them pick off the enemies at longer distances. Rule number 3 is make sure to use your equipment. Grenades are perfectly fine in this run. I mean, it's not your fault that you try to lure someone out with an explosive and they just refuse to leave their cover. And rule number 4, mandatory shooting sections do not disqualify me from the run. Now, with this game being very spectacle heavy, there are more than a few sections where you absolutely have to trigger, or else you get a game over. Now, what this means is I can't go all willy-nilly spray and pray. I have to make every single one of my shots count. We start in a slow motion shooting section where the game expects us to shoot some of the officers that came in. But instead, we let Woods and Bowman take care of everyone. Then we push our way out, knife a few of the local law enforcement, and make sure to take cover behind any walls or little cubbies. That's where the difficulty of this run comes in. It's not the no shooting, it's not the actual difficulty we selected. It's getting used to COD's old movement system, where the new ones are so fast and energetic. I mean, hell, look at Black Ops 6. That shit looks insane. Playing this just feels slow and clunky. After we infiltrate the compound, it's time to let my boys do the heavy lifting. At the end of it all, no matter how much banging my head against the wall there is, it's all worth it as long as there's a little checkpoint reached in the death screen. What? Hey, checkpoint reached. In these cool little slow motion scenes, you're expected to shoot everyone before time goes back to normal. But that gives us faster movement so we can run in and knife people closest to us. And unfortunately, this is our first mandatory shooting section. I tried letting Wood shoot, shooting his gun, or just running at him, but the game wouldn't budge. But luckily, rule 4, so we're good. After that, we get into another mandatory shooting section. Protect the ship and shoot everyone with a big ass bullet. But if you look closely, these bullets aren't hitting anyone, and yet they fly back. But you can see the impact marks, so I'm gonna call this clean. However, during editing, I found this channel called Sloths was able to just not shoot and look at the dirt in this section. So we went back in and did this just to be safe. Same thing with the blockade. It seems that as long as we just pull the trigger and shoot in the general direction, it's scripted to explode. So, we still on good terms? Next up, Vorkuta. And my first big roadblock, pushing the cart. It's scripted so you can't really run too far out or for too long because the MG on the tower just kills you. So, we gotta lure the guards close and use our friends as body shields. Or else, you know. I get that. No, goddamn. All right. Don't do it, buddy. And now we firebomb more local law enforcement to ensure our safety, harpoon a helicopter, and finally the minigun in order to not use it. And then a leisure drive where we totally didn't fail because I was shooting the cars, not people. Also, this is a mandatory shooting section. Now we meet the president and walk around for a bit. Nothing here, so easy dub. So it's business as usual. Let Woods distract enemies while I knife them. Or waiting at the stairs and shooting to lure them around the corner. After that, we have another shooting section. And this is where I thought of the grenade rule. I'm not technically shooting anyone. I'm just putting a loud beeping explosion near them as a warning. So we move on to this time section. which is always stressful because I can't take my sweet time hiding behind cover while my squad does all the work. I gotta be a little more proactive. And I'm just glad that stuns smoke people because I do not want to rely on grenades or other explosives too much. I mean, this is a challenge video, so I want to try to stay in the spirit of the video, but we just run through small corridors with plenty of cover, making running through this fairly easy. Just knife and move. Moving into Vietnam, I carry Hudson like 20 feet while Woods takes care of anyone in front of us. Running through the trenches until we get infantry charging us, and we hit them with napalm. Before needing to shoot tanks with rockets. In order to clear this out, we just hit explosives down the hill. And with little cover and open spacing, we decide to crawl on our hands and knees, pushing through, letting our boys take care of it all until our next mandatory shooting section. I tried not doing anything, and it doesn't end well for Woods. And now we get to play with the tow missiles against tanks, which means using explosives, so easy enough. While looking for the Russian defector, we gotta run through buildings with a lot of cover, so we go back to the usual. Rolling in and out of cover, knifing anyone in the way. Finding Reznov and using the APC to clear the rest of the enemies in our way, and then preparing to defend the point with some conveniently left out C4. And right there. And then we escape on a boat. Next up on our list is the mission on the Hong Kong rooftops. And it's always funny to me that Clark says he isn't going to help us because he's already a dead man, even going through some intense persuasion techniques. And then you guys get ambushed and he's just like, "You led them right to me," and becomes a really good shield for me to be able to bob and weave my way through these tight hallways knifing people. And my cheesiest strat: stand by the corner, shoot the wall, and when someone pokes around, stab them. Coming up on what seems like another mandatory shooting section, we actually just need to rush to the side room and wait for the game to just explode for no reason. And then it's just simple objective rushes until the end where I tried not shooting anyone, but you just die. I even tried throwing grenades, but you lose your inventory when you hit the boxes. So I threw a couple of preemptive grenades just in case, but I ended up having to kneecap a couple of people just to survive long enough for backup to arrive. I did end up going back to try what Rocket Sloth said to do and strafe on the pallets to not kill anyone. And that's another mission complete. He's doing a run where you count all the shots you have to take, so I'm not going to do this every time, but it's a good bit of research that I'm glad I looked into. After that, we get the lovely backstory of Reznov where his best friend Dmitri dies. Horribly. Standard bullet dodging and letting more friends take care of enemies until you get the ability to call in mortars. The mission got really hard after the whole betrayal thing because it turns into like 3 dudes against a whole army and you have 3 minutes to escape. So there goes unnecessary pressure in a run where I can't shoot anyone. But luckily everyone was so busy fighting each other they forgot to shoot me, so I was able to waltz on by and get off the ship pretty easily. Which is funny because I remember this being so much harder when I was younger. Hey, look at that. That wasn't so hard. And now we're back in Vietnam.
Don't make me do
with 2 mandatory shooting sections right off the bat. And then I spent 10 minutes waiting behind this rock until Woods or Reznov was able to shoot the 2 dudes off the cliff. And finally, a stealth section. We can casually and easily move through to the center of the village where all hell breaks loose. And then we have to use the Grim Reaper rocket launcher. Using explosions does feel like cheating, but I'm limited to the amount I have, so I'm gonna go ahead and call it okay. The part that really had me worried was the rat tunnels. It's rough because your one friend that goes in with you dies right away, and you can't cheese with grenades. You can't even sprint at the enemies. Fortunately though, the AI isn't the worst. You can just keep the light off, and other than the initial jump scare of them shooting you, they really can't see you. So you can walk right up to them and stab them. And anyone who does shoot at me, I can hide around the corner or behind some beams. Even when Reznov comes back, he has you take point, and then it's just more of the same. No lights and just shanks. Yeah, bitch, he thought. And then you scurry out of the tunnel like a little rat. Our next mission, we can just play the game like normal and have some fun. You drive a boat while Woods and Bowman use rocket launchers, and Reznov uses the LMG next to you. So technically, you aren't shooting anyone. And for that, we skip right to the next section, where we have another ambush. So, take cover, let the team take care of it, except these guys on the trees. If you don't kill them, they would just take shots at you as you move on. So it's best to let someone else shoot them. Did you guys get him? While I was looking away, you fuckers. Alright, that works. Cool. And then you take your final stand shooting the China Lake at enemies rushing your position. But you can just wait until the helicopter pulls up and shoots you, and then you get captured. Now, we're flying the Blackbird and commanding Hudson, where we get to ambush enemies for a nice change of pace. We can throw a flashbang and wait by the windows, knifing anyone who jumps through. It took me a fair amount of tries to get right, and just when I thought I'd be overwhelmed, my team was able to clutch it up. So now it's time to jump ahead to getting down the mountain. Finding our way right into another time section, we need to escape. It's not like it's too hard considering there's cover all around and your team does a good job taking care of the people on the opposite side of the room. But just seeing the timer count down always adds so much unnecessary pressure, I end up making stupid calls. Until you get to the truck, there's a small bit where you gotta shoot everyone. And then there's a couple of trucks that come in that cause way too big of an explosion that'll kill mostly everybody. Except this guy. So the run is a bust, I guess. But so far, we've only had to shoot one guy. Unless you consider this a mandatory shooting section, in which we're good because he got way too close before those trucks even pulled in. So he was never able to be damaged by the explosions, and he'd kill us in turn. So it's a mandatory shooting section. I hope. But more guys do show up, so now it definitely is a mandatory shooting section. But before we can rack up any more questionable bodies, the avalanche happens, and we get to move on. But here's another spot where you can just look away and hope for the best. So of course, I loaded back up, and I tried my best. Right into the next mission with the mandatory shooting section. After killing the dudes during game night at the POW camp, we push through the tunnels, taking cover where necessary to keep moving forward. Something I forgot to mention, if you can, always go after the grenades thrown at you. If you're able to toss them back, that's just a free explosion given to you. The game decides you earned enough good boy points through the challenge. Unfortunately, you gotta shoot the Russian guy trying to escape, but I legged him, so it shouldn't count. Even had to confirm the kill with my knife. Now we get to pilot the helicopter and haul ass through the mission, ignoring what we can. Just fire the missiles just in case we're the ones using the gun controls and not Woods. Freeing the other POWs, we gotta push through the most aggravating part of this entire playthrough. It doesn't matter how much I bob and weave, duck in or out of cover, or just take it slow. There's always somebody from another angle trying to shoot. But if we just tap the flamethrower, some people will get scared or stunned and not actually light on fire, giving us the opportunity to stab. Woods partakes in the challenge a little too, but now we can move on to Rebirth Island, where the first third of the mission is avoiding enemies and knifing whoever's in our way. Until the lab, where I have to shoot the two guys in the elevator. The game didn't let me jump down on them, but it's my favorite level design. Tight corridors with plenty of cover to rush enemies. I even found myself a gun with a grenade launcher. And then, the horrifying experiments of Nova 6 are realized. This guy, who wouldn't just die. Oh my god, what the fuck? What the fuck is this glitch? What? Oh my god, no! Fuck it, we move. We move with or without him. And now I had to clear the next room with an ever-present It Follows style enemy, just constantly lurking and blending in. Fuck, here he comes! God damn it, why? Dude, leave me alone. Until we lock him out so we can have a chat with Steiner. Let's go, Reznov. Close the door. Dude, if he fucking walks through that door, I'm gonna lose my shit. Sorry, bud. You're not a main character. You can't do this. Our next section is another mandatory shooting section, but with a grenade launcher. So it's fire at will until Nova 6 happens, which I always remember being harder when I was younger. We just moved through the houses while being careful to not break our hazmat suit, since there's no regenerative health. Moving into the actual compound, we let our team take care of everyone, making sure to keep close and to knife anyone else. Down into the labs again, and our friend is now gone, leaving behind this squad that takes one well-timed grenade to deal with. And then we get the big reveal. Reznov was never real. Oh my god, plot twist. Wow, so cool. But in all seriousness, I do really enjoy the Black Ops story, and it's been a really fun and nostalgic playthrough again. But we're not done yet. Almost. And now we get another cinematic walking mission where everything is spelled out for you. Reznov actually died back in Vorkuta, and the military let a known schizophrenic on these highly classified missions because he had to be there. It worked out in the end though, but still. I do remember when I was a kid playing this game that I try to boot up the zombies mode and everything changes. The music starts playing. The zombie starts banging on the window how he usually does. You mash the buttons, you get out of the chair like you do in the normal menu, and that's when the door opens up and the zombie comes running at you and you knife him. So then you pull out the starter pistol and you hear the laugh and round one pops up on your screen. And then it turns into zombies mode using this entire level. But it was also mashed up with the laboratory section in 5. This always stuck with me. It was this kind of creepy thing that always stuck with me that my dumbass kid mind had conjured up. Other than that though, we get the most unnecessary cringe and cool thing ever.
Cuba.
We get to the final mission and it starts out really fun. We get to pilot the helicopter using rockets to keep our squad alive. Once we land on the boat, we push up with our squad, letting them do the heavy lifting again. Man, I'd hate to be on the team with me. A known schizophrenic with tendency to go AWOL, not shooting anyone, and running around like a madman stabbing people. Since the rest of this is all CQC, I'm able to rush enemies since there's cover everywhere and I can't really die. All the way down to the underwater station, this was really easy compared to the rest of the game. And it's the final level. You'd think they would throw some bullshit at you. I mean, there's these really heavily geared guys that can die in 1 stab or 4. And then we continue pushing on through the level until we come across the big man himself. There's no mandatory shooting sections or anything. Just you, him, and a pool just deep enough so you can see the bubble stop coming up. With that being said, it's time we get the fuck out of here. And that's the end of the game. So I would highly recommend going to go see Rocket Sloth's video because he tries an entirely different run than me. I'm just not trying to shoot people with guns. He's trying not to shoot people as much as possible and counting all the shots that you have to take in the story. But a link to his video will be in the description. Would I recommend this challenge? Maybe, if you're not on the hardest difficulty. Doing this has been a pain in the ass, and I think this is the first one where I'm just like, don't do it. It's not really worth it. But it has been worth it to just go back and play this campaign I loved so much as a kid. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to subscribe. More importantly than that, though, y'all have a wonderful day. Stay pretty.
It is over. We won.
For now.